everyone to the Big Picture Manatee. We're here with another exciting segment. We have a special guest here today, but before we get started, we just want to remind everyone the mission of the Big Picture Manatee to engage, inform our community in a nonpartisan way about issues that are impacting those in Manatee County. I'm Sherry Corrier with a little over 30 years of experience in local government at the top level, and I'm here with my colleagues at the Big Picture Manatee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Reggie Bellamy, former County Commissioner of District 2, proud graduate of Bethune-Cookman University, as well as a veteran from the United States Army. Nice to see everyone.
Hey everybody, I'm Misty Servia, also a former county commissioner. Reggie and I served together, and I'm a 30-year urban planner in this region, having worked for both the public and private sector. Hey everybody, glad to be here.
Thank you, Misty and Reggie. And just a reminder to our viewers that the views expressed here on the Big Picture Manatee are our own and not reflective of the program in itself. So everybody can see we have a fantastic guest today, Chief Tyler from the Palmetto Police Department, and we're so thrilled to have you here. Tell us just a little bit about your background and how you became in this important role.
Well, thank you, Sherry. First of all, thanks for having me on the podcast. I've been a Manatee County resident since 1982, so although I can't say I was born here, I think I'm about as close to a native as you can get without being born here. Certainly in that time, I've seen a lot of changes. Started out, had a lawn maintenance company, but as a kid, I always wanted to be in law enforcement. So had the opportunity to go to the police academy. I did it, and I've been in law enforcement here in Manatee County for 30 years, almost all of it at the Palmetto Police Department. And I'm proud to have been chosen and been serving as chief for almost 10 years.
So, wow, thank you, Chief, and thank you for your service. And before we go into it, I do want to make sure I do a public notice and thank you for your continuous impact to the community. We recently had a backpack giveaway at the entity that I serve in. The City of Palmetto Police Department, as always, came out and supported. So we definitely want to tell you thank you. We impacted right over 400 youth as far as giving out backpacks and you providing the beverages in order for us to get through those hot moments. We really appreciate that. But on to where we are right now today. What are the major law enforcement concerns that we have here in the City of Palmetto?
Well, concerns are always changing and always evolving, but I think right now, probably what we're dealing with most is three things. And before I start with that, a lot of times when I go out and meet with residents and just talk with residents, I look at crime stats, I look at data, I look at where things are happening in the city, and sometimes my idea and my staff's idea what are criminal justice problems and safety problems are different from what the residents see. But what we are particularly concerned about lately is first and foremost is traffic safety. Manatee County ranks pretty high with the number of traffic crashes. Certainly Palmetto's in that mix. Along with those traffic crashes, not just vehicle to vehicle, it's pedestrian crashes, it's crashes involving bicycles. And so we've been focusing a lot of attention the past couple of years on traffic safety. We try to get out, do visible enforcement. We certainly map and keep track of where crashes are happening, hot spots and hot times for crashes. So we try to staff accordingly. And the other thing that we do is citizens call in and say, hey, there's speeding on my roadway, or we're concerned about this intersection or that intersection. We also do things called traffic patrol requests, and we spend as much time on those as we possibly can. And I'll also add, especially now that school's back in, we spend as much time as we can in our school zones. But traffic safety and traffic enforcement is a big priority for us right now. Probably the second biggest thing is property crime. I know regionally, and certainly in the city of Palmetto, we've seen increases in property crime. And by that, I mean thefts and burglaries, things like that. we've seen an increase in that. Now, fortunately, we've seen our violent crime kind of go down, but the property crime is, at least in the city of Palmetto, gone up a little bit. And I can tell you that it's almost exclusively vehicle burglaries from unlocked cars. So we continue to send this message out to the community. Please lock your cars. Crime would be down if we had locked cars. And probably one of the biggest offshoots from that is, unfortunately, we've had people that leave guns in unlocked cars. So last year we had 8 firearms stolen from unlocked vehicles. This year we're down a little bit. We've had 3, but that's way too many. And we know nationally that one of the number one places that a criminal will get a firearm is from basically stealing them from burglaries. And we know that firearms that have been taken from burglaries in Palmetto are used here and locally, both Manatee County and in the surrounding counties, to commit further crimes. And the unlocked cars have also driven an increase in vehicle thefts because people unfortunately leave their keys in their car. So that's something, and a lot of how we address that is public education. And probably the third biggest challenge that we've had that is different than we had maybe 5 or 10 years ago is homelessness. And first of all, I'll say homelessness is not a crime, and we don't treat it as a crime. But unfortunately, your law enforcement, whether it's the sheriff's office or your PDs, we're kind of the first point of contact with the homeless population that seems to be growing in Palmetto. So, again, that's something that we're addressing, we're evolving, and kind of getting into unfamiliar territory for policing, but it's something that we have to do.
Well, I think that's interesting. If my colleagues don't mind for me to bring another question, a part of that, when you brought up homelessness, can you give us some examples on how the Palmetto Police Department, address some of the homeless issues?
Well, I think first of all, it was training and awareness. Officers get some basic training in issues like homelessness, and it's a very complex problem. It's not just gee, I lost my job, or this happened or that happened, and I have no place to live, or I can't afford to live. Homelessness also embraces topics like addictions. A lot of people are on the street because they're suffering through that, and right along with that is also mental illness of one sort or another. So, all of these things, it's kind of new territory for our officers and our deputies. And one of the ways that we're addressing that is increasing training on, basically the reasons for homelessness, making sure that our officers are aware of the resources that we have available that we can provide or refer our homeless population to. But also, and it's not just homelessness, but one of the things that we're trying to provide for our officers is even more crisis intervention training. And by that, I mean how to deal with people in crisis, how to talk to them, de-escalation techniques, and things like that. And, so we've had quite an emphasis on that for a couple of years, but that's especially true when we deal with the homeless population. And again, I want to emphasize homelessness is not a crime, but it is an issue that, we don't have, we've got great homeless resources here in Manatee County, but it's not like we have homeless advocates or psychologists that are roving the streets in teams serving these people. A lot of times the contact that this population has is with law enforcement. So law enforcement is taking on a role that traditionally didn't have.
Yeah, it's a complex problem for sure. And so thank you very much to you and your staff for what you do on that front. I know that in the Palmetto area, you guys have suffered on average with some of the highest crime rates in the area. And you've responded to that by having community policing, which I love, the community policing. Can you talk about that program and how that is impacting crime out there in the city?
Well, community policing is a buzzword that's been around since the early 80s, but really I think community policing is just old-fashioned policing, where the officers get to know the community and look for opportunities where they can build relationships with the citizens and the businesses. It's the way the old beat cops used to handle things. And a lot of times as I was coming up, community policing was a dedicated unit within the Palmetto Police Department. It was kind of me for many, many years. But the way we're handling it today is we're giving training and tools to all of our officers, and we expect, certainly at the Palmetto Police Department, when I hire you and when I interview you for an open position here, I talk about community policing, and I make sure that the people that we hire understand that that's the way we're going to police in Palmetto. And again, what that means is not just driving around responding to calls to service, but making those opportunities to get to know residents, to start dialogues, to answer questions, just to talk to people in businesses and restaurants, and listen to what people's concerns really are. Kind of getting back to Commissioner Bellamy's original question. It's not always what we think of the problems. It's listening to residents to hear what their problems are, and it also translates to some specific programs that we do. One of the things that COVID kind of knocked down, but we're restarting this fall, is the Citizens Police Academy, where we bring people in and we show them what we do. We let them meet all of the officers of the Palmetto Police Department. We let them ride with the officers. We kind of put them through some scenarios so they understand what officers deal with. We talk about use of force. We talk about philosophies of enforcement and things like that. And, we also have an open discussion with those participants. And that's one of the more effective programs that I've seen done. Past graduates of the Citizens Academy are constantly keeping in touch and wanting to know what they can do. But it's all about partnerships and problem solving.
How about your own internal organization, from recruitment and having access to quality applicants? And what's that picture looking like right now?
Well, right now, that has been a challenge. It's been a challenge for a couple of years. So I think there's a couple of factors that figure into this. First of all, we don't have as many people looking to enter law enforcement as we used to. And there are also a lot of retirees regionally. So what happens is almost everybody around here, from Tampa, St. Pete, down south of us, the middle of the state, everybody is hiring. And so what that does is an agency like mine, smaller, with a smaller budget, maybe not the most competitive salaries, we're now regularly competing against the Tampa PD, the St. Pete PD, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, agencies to the south, Sarasota PD, Sarasota Sheriff's Office. We're competing against them for candidates. And, the same job, same region, a lot of times the same benefits, but, the pay can be quite a bit more in the larger agencies. It's been a challenge for us. So one of the ways that we overcome that is, we know with jobs, it's not all about the money. So we try to create a pleasant place to work, a place where our officers all have a voice. We just built a brand new $10.1 million police headquarters, and we're so proud of it. But part of that process is during the design, every one of our police officers and staff members had a lot of input in that design, and they kind of take ownership of their own facility. So, it's things like that we try to add: good equipment, great working environment, a great community to work in, a community that supports law enforcement. Those are all things that we can kind of plug at. And, so far we're getting some candidates, but it's truly been a lot more difficult than, say, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I have another question. What would you like to inform the citizens of Palmetto about when it comes to, safety?
Well, I think two things. First of all, largely people in Palmetto, when they see something suspicious or when they're concerned about something, they do call. But I want to remind everybody, it's so important for us to get those calls. And it's great when you call up and say, this is Mr. or Mrs. Smith, and I live at 123 14th Avenue, and this is what's going on. But even if those calls are anonymous, we need those calls, because we can't be everywhere at once. And going back to community policing, a safe community is a partnership between citizens and the police. And, I think the other thing would be get involved with your city government, get involved with the Palmetto Police Department. When we set up and we advertise for the Citizens Academy, I really encourage people to come out and learn about what we do and why we do it. And our officers learn as much from the community as I think they do through the Citizens Academy. But we're all partners in this, and we all partner with the safety of our own community.
I love that, Chief. Hey, do you guys have body cameras?
We do. We've had body cameras for a little over a year.
And has that
And
helped?
along with the body cameras, for many, many years, all of our marked patrol units also have a camera in them. So we've had that for a long, long time. The body cameras, we recently went with a new vendor. So our car cameras, our body cameras, and even our interview cameras at the police department, they're all on one system. And the body cameras have proven to be great, very, very effective.
Yeah, that's what the sheriff says too. I'm really happy you guys have those. Great.
I know, Chief, that one of the big headaches for you is when something happens on I-75 and everyone has to jump off, they come right through the center of your city and probably contribute to those traffic issues that you have. What kind of coordination with knowing what's happening in advance impacts what you do on a daily basis when those kind of emergencies happen?
Well, it's a great question, Sherry, and I think it's important for the citizens to know that we have great open lines of communication. So even if it is a traffic issue that is shutting the interstate down just over the border in Sarasota, or something happening to our north for northbound traffic that's backing up, but especially that southbound stuff, we know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of times a whole lot that we can do about it. If the interstate is closed, it backs up US 41, it backs up 301, it backs up all of our bridges going over the Manatee River. And it's important to know that even on a day when there's no traffic accidents and no gridlock on the interstate, we've still got, I looked at an FDOT corridor study maybe a couple of years ago, and it's only probably gotten worse. And I was surprised to learn that we have over 33,000 trips going through going through Palmetto on the Green Bridge and the DeSoto Bridge every weekday. That's 33,000 people that are not necessarily the residents of Palmetto or the North River community that are going from a point north of us to a point south of us, never intending to stop. But that's 33,000 vehicles funneling through those two bridges. And then we add one fender bender anywhere into this equation, and this is what we get. And it's a hot topic. It's discussed whether you're at the restaurant or whether social media is discussed by our city commissions, our county commission. We just got lots of people moving to the area, and lots of people moving through Manatee County, going from the north to the south.
Got it. Yeah. Well, anything else that you'd like to share with us before we start to close out our segment? You've really given us a lot of good information, especially for people in Palmetto, but really because we are such a regionally connected community, we all need to know what's happening in Palmetto as it relates to getting to Bradenton, getting through that area. Anything else you'd like to share with our audience today?
Well, I think the other thing, I touched on it a little while ago, but I want our listeners to know the close relationship that all of your emergency service providers have, not just in Manatee County, but in this region. But I can tell you, in Manatee County, the chiefs and the sheriff and I, we have each other on speed dial. We have great working relationships. We are constantly sharing information because we know crime doesn't stop at the border of Palmetto or the border of Bradenton. We're dealing with the same criminals, and a lot of these are multi-county criminals. So I think it's important for people to know that, we work so closely together. We also share resources. For instance, a couple of years ago, the city of Palmetto got a patrol boat again. But that boat isn't just for the citizens of Palmetto. That boat services the Manatee River. So, we share resources, and I think as taxpayers, it's important for everybody to know that and appreciate the value that they're getting with their emergency services.
Absolutely. And I want to share with you, in all my years of working in relationship with local government. I see you everywhere. You're always present. You are collaborative. You are there for the entire community, especially when we've stayed nights at the Emergency Operations Center during hurricanes, and you're there along with the other law enforcement, and I'm listening to what you're working on and how you're trying to make sure to communicate to residents about whether they need to evacuate or come back or shelter in place. And those are such important things that are happening. So thank you for being here today. We really appreciate you. We know we'll be seeing you again on the Big Picture Manatee. We hope that we can help spread your information throughout the city of Palmetto and beyond. And remember, to all of our listeners, all of the people watching, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. Our channel is the Big Picture Manatee. And while you're there, like us so that you also like Chief Tyler, because his information is so important. Also, you can find us on Facebook at the Big Picture Manatee and on our webpage at thebigpicturemanatee.com. Send us your questions, send us your comments. If you have questions for Chief Tyler that we weren't able to cover in this particular amount of time on this segment, we're happy to have him back or have him connect with you to answer those questions. So thank you so much. Thank you for your commitment to the citizens of Palmetto, but also to the citizens of our entire Manatee County. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Bye, everybody.